The most exciting part of this conference is that there really are a huge range of different types of people from different countries working on different aspects of food security.
I come from Benin.
Paris.
Mongolia.
Leuven. I'm from Bethlehem, Palestine.
And I'm an economist.
I'm a biotechnologist.
I'm a plant pathologist.
And I'm a researcher in food system economics.
So the situation today on food security and global food security is not great, as you may have heard about it. We have 735 million people that are in chronic hunger, meaning that every day they don't have enough calories to operate properly. That's 135 million more than in 2015.
We don't pay the price that food costs, so there are hidden costs that we don't pay for. At the political level, we need more political willingness to change the system. Maybe we need to change the political system as a whole to really make policymakers do things that are in the longer run and not just looking from one election towards another one.
I think the key challenge that we face in terms of achieving food security is how we manage demand within planetary boundaries.
There's enough food in the world and there's enough calories and there's probably enough nutrient-dense food in the world in terms of just what is physically available, but we do not distribute it.
Our agriculture has evolved over centuries, millennia really. So now the climate is changing, so our agriculture must change as well.
The top challenge to global food security is feeding Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, where the population is likely to double and where yield growth has been very slow.
One of the big challenges with food security is more with access to food rather than availability of food. I don't want to trivialize the availability question, but access is a really key component. And we see that, for example, conflict is a major challenge at the moment.
Food insecurity is very personal to me. I grew up a child refugee.
So currently, as you know, in Palestine, there's a war and there's a famine. So people in 2024 are dying from human-induced, famine.
We're kind of reproducing structures. We're talking about colonies, but the way the colonists talked about food security back in the days.
What I think is important that we start thinking more in terms of processes, so the how do we make better policies. It's quite difficult, for example, to come up with a standard recipe for how we should fix all the issues in food systems around the world. There's so much local context, local specificities, but you can come up with processes that explain how can you use science, how can you involve stakeholders, how can you create coherence across different policy communities.
To make a food system more resilient, you absolutely need both high-frequency data monitoring capacity and as well as capacity to the human resources capacity to understand and utilize that data locally.
The two key markers of an improved food systems are first, that we're no longer clearing land to produce more food, because land use change is the single biggest environmental source of harm both to the climate and to biodiversity. And the health-based indicator is one in which the rich consume less meat and the poor are given a greater diversity of diet.
The food system, from my perspective, will be getting better if we see improved distribution of nutritious foods, so more nutritious foods getting particularly to low-income households or those that might not be currently able to access them. Improved ecosystem functioning, basically, is nature being restored? Are we seeing the reappearance of key species in areas that have lost them? And also, are farmers getting paid better?
So you shouldn't tackle one thing at a time. Plant diseases, breeding, environmental, whatever the climate change, we can't tackle everything separately. It should be a holistic approach.
I believe that health scientists should have a hand in policy making because they should listen to these people and they should share in policy making and decision making.
The goal of the world was by 2030 to eradicate hunger. We are not on the right track.
Food solutions need to be healthy. They need to be inclusive. We cannot leave people behind.
I think there's really need for more leadership to make our food system more sustainable right now.
We have to get away from the silo thinking.
It's not enough just to do research, we need to implement it.
We need to demonstrate that we can react as a collective and not as individuals.